The September 26th, 2023 meeting of the Richmond Sanitary District Board of Commissioners is called to order. The first item of business is approval of board minutes from the August 22nd, September 5th, and September 12th of 2023 meetings.
President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
Motion for approval of board minutes from August 22nd, September 5th, and September 12th, 2023, as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the board minutes from August 22nd, September 5th, and September 12th of 2023 as presented. Are there any questions or comments on any of those minutes? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is approval of invoices from check dates September 8th and 15th of 2023 totaling $179,654.70.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Steens.
make a motion to approve invoices for check date run September 8th and 15th of 2023, totaling $179,654.70. We had a few significant invoices, first from Richmond Power and Light for $46,548.41, Barrett Paving Materials for $14,081.42, and Cox Excavating for $13,300.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve the invoices from check dates September 8th and 15th of 2023 totaling $179,654.70. Are there any questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item is the director's report.
Yes, Madam President and Board. I have a few things before I go into the August report. First, a reminder that next month our meetings will start at 11. Just want to put that there. Also, leaf collection begins next month as well for the city and the district. See the city's website for details on that. Again, just kind of the street department will do everything within the city boundary. The sanitary district will do everything outside of the city, but within the sanitary district. So those schedules are a little fluctuating, and the city website will have all those details. We can go ahead. Oh, one other thing I had mentioned at our budget meeting and with the resolution, we talked about Fund 6202. The cash flow and the detail did not have those the data entered by finance yet. We discussed that that was a pass-through fund. Those values have been input now, and it does reflect the pass-through as it was presented. And Jessica Foster has those, and when that resolution gets signed, you can review that prior to that. We can go into the August report. I want to call out a note in Section 1, the plant flow. You will see the average flow is 4.59 million gallons per day. This is about the same average all year, though we were a little closer to 6 million gallons per day in January and February. But the plant is rated for 18 million gallons per day with a peak flow of 36 million gallons per day. Historically, in my 14 years here, the plant has had an average yearly flow of around 10 to 11 million gallons per day. So the drought that we're in has created a loss of I&I, which is just that infiltration of groundwater from the table. And we've seen that in years before, like smaller sections, not quite as long as this year has been. You know, you might get a month or two, especially in the summer, that shows up like this. But this just creates some trouble in treatment, but we have not violated our permit, and we've held that as expected. But we've shrank the plant down as far as we can. We're down to running one primary instead of, we have 11, that capacity for 11, which comes on when we have rain events. But historically, we ran 2 or 3 just under dry weather, and we're running 1 at half condition, essentially. So I just wanted to make note of that in that section. In Section 6, under solid waste, I want to make a note that, and we've been doing this at the board's request, but code enforcement, some of those tons are brush, and we called that out in the notes to that section. So you can see some of the tonnage listed there is that. And the other piece I want to call out here is in Section 8, in the cardboard. This is our largest tonnage per the history of this program so far. So the containers have continued to grow that are out of that 2,000 we got in the initial grant. And with that, the tonnage has gone up as well. So Great job on that, and it's nice to see that continually working. If you remember, I think from the yearly report we did at the beginning of this year for all of last year, we had nearly tripled the residential cardboard that we used to get before this program. So continually seeing that go up. Only other thing I have is in the financials on page 4 of 15 in the financial section. Account number 6201-0505. 420-5890 septic fees. So this is a revenue stream for the 6201 fund. You'll see that we've only collected about 40% of what we anticipated in this line. This primarily also relates to the drought. A large portion of septic is leachate from landfills, and with no rain, there's just not as much leachate coming from the surrounding landfills. So that's a little down and probably will stay that way through the end of the year, probably won't track quite as high. Fortunately, I mean, in that overall revenue stream, you'll see the other major revenue streams are above what was expected. So our overall revenue will be completely fine. I just wanted to call out why that was and tie that into the drought discussion since we were talking about flows in the beginning here as well. And that is all I have under the director's report unless there are further questions.
I have one, Pat, that maybe, just since it's being televised, that kind of go over for the public, if they want to get involved with the cardboard recycling program, what do they need to do?
Yes, so if you would like to get involved in that, well, Jess may have to remind me, but I think you call the 765-983-7450 number, and you can be directed to solid waste, and at that point, you can sign up for the cardboard just like you could any other container if you needed a Richie or a Rosie, both of those, or if you had a broken container, any of those things, it's all the same line, but you just call and you can get a container and they will put you on a schedule and we will deliver one and add you to the route.
Thank you.
And I had a question back on your very first of the daily average flow. Is there, I mean, I know a lot of our work has been separation. And when you see the decline due to drought, that sort of indicates to us how much is still coming in through that infiltration.
Correct.
Is there any need, or can you identify certain areas where we would be attempting additional separation, or is it just fully groundwater?
Most of this is just groundwater that infiltrates through cracks or seams of joints. Now, we do, I've spoken with Elijah and the whole engineering department a few times. Some of the flow monitoring manholes that we have out, we hope to identify specific locations because although this wouldn't really be required perhaps under the long-term control plan, we know that when that is completed and we talk about overflows and or sizing capacity of the plant, we know these are probably big bang for our buck to line or fix these cracks in these areas. So it's trying to identify these heavy, if we can locate, if maybe it's happening in specific locations or maybe it's a little bit everywhere, you know, we don't know that yet. But these manhole covers are putting on that are tracking flow will help us hopefully identify that. And that's when Elijah talks about good rains. And he's also talked,
Rain.
I know, he may have talked about it here, it may have been in the engineering meetings, other meetings we've had on design, but we also don't want to just take, let's say we get like a 3-inch rain right now, that's not completely representative because the ground table's so low. So if I'm starting at 4, you know, it's, even if we were shooting at a 3-inch under normal conditions, a 3-inch under drought is not the same flow. So it does alter that. So once the ground table comes back up, yeah, that's something, as he's been distributing those smart covers and those flow monitoring devices, we hope to be able to identify where the I&I is and lining. We already do lining per year anyway, but if we can, you know, really target that, we think we can streamline again the capacity of the plant for future events.
Yes, both directions are very telling, both heavy rains and
Yeah, it is
drought,
very telling.
both ways. Okay, well, anything else?
I do not.
That's it? Okay, thank you very much. The next item of business is the recommendation to approve Resolution 8-2023 for appropriation of funds.
Yes, Madam President and Board. This appropriation is for our refund account, and it has a net zero effect on the overall budget. What this is for is occasionally customers will overpay or double pay or something of this nature. So it comes into our revenue account, but we can't pay a refund out of that same account, so there's just a line item for those refunds. And this year, we've had a couple of, there really, I think, 2 large refunds, just large overpayments from larger accounts, and that just depleted what we usually anticipate in that. So this appropriation would put funds to pay that back out, but again, it's a net zero because it really only goes out if it came in the revenue stream, so they off-balance each other.
Any questions or a motion?
President Miller?
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
Motion for recommendation to approve Resolution 8-2023 for appropriation of funds as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve Resolution Number 8-2023 for appropriation of funds as presented. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to approve Resolution 10-2023, the agreement for water resources investigations.
Yes, Madam President and Board. RSD, as you know, we've partnered with USGS now for 6 years, or going on 6 years, with a super gauge at the Test Road Bridge. That super gauge gives us continuous measurement of flow, temperature, nitrogen, specific conductance, pH, phosphates, and dissolved oxygen. And we also, with this agreement, we have discrete sampling for metals and some other parameters as well. But all this data has been very useful to the district, and I would say the community in various ways, but giving a much better picture of the watershed. And USGS has stated that too. They've seen a lot, especially after heavy rains. They can monitor like how flash floody, if that's a real word, floody, I don't know. But anyway, of that river it is. And you can, like I've done it quite a few times after rains, get on, and you can watch the river level move under rain events and different conditions. And we know the Weir Dam is coming down. Just a lot of different parameters as the watershed changes. This gauge helps us with that. But if we want to get real specific, just without just these bigger pictures, having this data allows for much more allocation, or much more accurate waste allocation by IDEM, which is used in factoring our permit and our discharge levels. And our permit levels then dictate what we have to pass on in our pretreatment program to industry and town. So having a very accurate measurement of that has been very beneficial to us. At the start of this, or right before this, we had had a permit from IDEM that was going to have, it had copper monitoring, and then ultimately was going to have a copper limit in our permit. But after the USGS went in and we had all this data, they redid a waste allocation, and that was not needed. And that was going to be something we were going to have to pass on to all the industries in town. They were going to have to do further low-level copper removal, and it turned out that wasn't necessary from this because the old waste allocation was done on a single sample in the past 5 years, so it wasn't very accurate compared to this that's pulling samples every single day. So it's just a much more accurate proposal of that. So what's before you here is to renew this agreement for another 3 years. If you remember before, how this is done is we sign the resolution, and then there is a joint funding agreement, which is Exhibit B in this, that the board would sign that would act as the contract essentially for this process. The joint funding agreement itself is unchanged from previous years. I do want to make a note that in Exhibit A, the proposal, there is a change there that I want to discuss, and that is there is 2 tables, and this is on page, they don't put page numbers in Exhibit A, but it's the 3rd from the last page in Exhibit A under the section Budget. And once you get there, you'll see that there are 2 tables. And what this is there is a chance, so Table A shows basically the exact same thing, or the first table shows exactly what we do now. Table B shows an increased cost. That increased cost comes with some algal monitoring as well as HABs, which are harmful algal blooms, all the way down to basically tracking genetically what the source of these blooms are. This we would not enact until at least year 2 of this agreement, and it's really, we are part of an effort larger that's with Earlham College, I think with Soil and Water, and some others that are looking to get a watershed grant to do some more larger watershed monitoring of the Whitewater River. And we would be willing to add those things by year 2 or year 3 to add those to that watershed monitoring. The resolution is written that we could upgrade to Table 2 for years 2 and 3 of this agreement, should we elect to do so.
I was confused about the amounts. If I can get way back up here into the actual contract. It says 53,000 per year. Which I can see in the first being our amount. And then it says tracking at a cost of 69,000 per year. So is that the 53 plus the 2 other amounts?
Yes, so if you look at the, in that budget summary, if you go down to Table 6, you'll see Richmond's kind of contribution at 16,000, which is a combination of the HAB and the E. coli and microbial source tracking. So put together, those two things add $16,000 to that 53, bringing it to 69.
Is the 11.5 then included in the?
Yes.
The next table? Okay. I was
Yes,
trying to add
yes.
that up.
So it just increased
Okay.
by, wow.
Yes.
So
The 11.5 is just the HABs. The 16 is HABs plus E. coli and microbial
Okay.
source tracking.
Gotcha, okay. Yes, because we had talked about, the potential for further recreational use of the river to be able to have, I guess, better data for that, obviously, would be important.
It does, and the microbial of E. coli helps, because the watershed here has been under an E. coli alert for 40 or 50 years since they first scanned it. It's been impaired to E. coli. This source tracking will, again, it's broader than just Richmond, but it will allow, you basically find the DNA of these E. coli, and you can go, is this animal source? Is this septic tank source? Did this come from a treatment plant? It will really help you target, so you're actually putting efforts to, if you're wanting to look at reducing E. coli, where the source is from.
Any other questions or a motion?
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Steens?
I'll make a motion to approve resolution number 10-2023 as presented.
I will second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve resolution number 10-2023 as presented. Are there any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us to the next item of business, which is the recommendation to approve consent to assignment contract 1-2023 with the Message Center.
Yes, Madam President, board members. The answering service, the Message Center, doing business as Consumer Security Systems, we have had used them for several years now, and they were sold to a company called ComNet LLC, located in Muncie, Indiana. This took place August 1st of 2023. ComNet has been easy to work with, and with the change in the service, it's been pretty smooth. ComNet has told me that they will honor the current contract we have with Message Center, contract number 1, 2023. This is a 3-year contract starting January 1 of 2023 and ending December 31st of 2025. The annual charge for this service was $3,300 per year. They are going to continue that charge to us. So I'm asking the board to approve consent to assignment with ComNet LLC, taking over the current contract, number 1, 2023, we had with the Message Center.
Any other questions, comments? Otherwise, I will entertain a motion.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Bakshi?
motion for recommendation to approve consent to assignment, Contract 1-2023 with the Message Center as presented.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent to assignment with the Message Center as presented. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is to approve the amendment number 1 to contract 132-2022 with Southeastern Equipment.
Yes, Madam President, board members, at our August 23rd, 2022 board meeting, you all have approved the purchase of a 2024 Ford F-250 four-wheel drive truck with a new Perkins refuge bed with a cart dumper. This is used in solid waste for picking up smaller items or items that you have to run back and pick up at a later time. The purchase price of this unit was $80,200. We were told approximately 34 weeks for the delivery date, depending on the availability of the Ford chassis. We have received several emails from Southeastern and Ford saying the chassis build date has been delayed and they did not have a status on the build date. September 18th of this year, Randy Wright, solid waste manager, and I received an email saying that a chassis had become available due to a fleet customer backing out of the deal with Southeastern on the purchase of a 2024 F-250 XLT four-wheel drive truck. This truck is a little bit nicer than the one that we picked as just a standard F-250. We have specified in our request for quotes that year. The good thing is this truck is available now. I still do not have a production date on the truck that we do have on order. Southeastern told Randy and I that this truck, compared to the one we spec'd, but it is $3,800 more, just with the additional package. It was an XLT package. The truck we have in service right now has outlasted its usefulness, and we really need to go ahead and replace it. I'm asking this board to amend contract 132-2022 with Southeastern Equipment at the additional cost of $3,800 for the purchase of this 2024 F-250 and the Perkins refuge bed. The additional charge of $38,000 will take the purchase price to $84,000. At the time of our quotes last year, this piece of equipment we had was this is the only company that submitted this quote to us, was Southeastern.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
I have a quick one. Jeff, how long does this type of equipment last, like 10 years, or do you have any guess?
The one we're replacing, I want to say that's probably a 2004. It's been
almost 20 years then.
And it really needs to be the bed is just about shot.
Yeah.
The bed on the truck, not the dumper, but it's in bad shape too. It's
Probably maintenance problems.
Yeah.
Also.
So obviously, there was not a trade-in on.
yeah, we didn't. Yeah, there wasn't a trade-in, and
Drive it to the scrapyard.
yeah.
All right. Any other questions or comments or a motion?
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Steen.
I'll make a motion to approve amendment number 1 to contract 132-2022 as presented.
I will second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve amendment number 1 to contract 132-2022 as presented. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to approve change order number 6 to contract 72-2021 with Brackney, Inc.
Yes, Madam President and Board. I'm going to attempt to be Elijah here for this one, as he's at a conference today. But change order 6 with Brackney Incorporated is part of this, the project for the West Side Interceptor. This is not the final change order, but 99% of the work has been done at this point, so we do not expect much more change. This has in the change order itself, you'll see an itemized list of all the pieces that moved. A lot of it's just small things like backfill amounts and things of this nature. But you'll see the overall change order is in the order of reducing the contract price by $89,549.17.
Thank you. Any questions, comments, or
I'm full of
motion?
questions today.
Good.
I will do
What
my
the
best
heck
to answer.
What the heck is railroad insurance? What was that for, going underneath the tracks or something?
Elijah would have to add more specifics. I don't know exactly how it impacted that, but yeah, anytime we, as we touch a railroad, whether we go under it or have to
Yeah.
close roads around it, we have to hold that insurance for them.
Really? Okay. Thanks.
I personally find this a stellar performance on everyone's part, that we're now at 11% under budget of a $5.3 million project. And I know that's a lot to do with our staff, but I think Brackney also, I think early on there was a change order of something that they had recommended from their side, so
That's very true. There was a piece where they changed how they were going to construct it. They thought it could be another way, and it passed through all the permits, and it made it cheaper. And we've done a lot of projects with Brackney at this point in time. They've been really good for us to work with. They know our system and our projects and our overall goals well, and they've done a great job.
yeah, that's a savings in
That's a big-
excess of $600,000.
That's a big savings.
Yeah,
Correct.
in that project. So, hopefully no big surprises on the final one.
I don't
We have
believe
to
so.
take that back.
Yeah.
Is there, I will entertain a motion.
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Boxey.
motion for recommendation to approve change order number 6 to contract 72-2021 with Brackney Inc. as presented.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve change order number 6 to contract 72-2021 with Brackney Inc. as presented. Any further questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next item of business is the recommendation to approve change order number, oops, I already did that one. So we're at miscellaneous. And you have something for miscellaneous?
Yes, Madam Board President and board members. I was notified last week that Greenwave Electronics had purchased Greenwave Computer Recycling LLC. This vendor is retained, we trained this vendor to collect e-waste that makes it to our landfill. Greenwave Electronics told me that they would honor the current contract we have with Greenwave Computer Recycling LLC, contract number 28, 2021. The current contract is a not-to-exceed number of $25,000 annually. I'm asking the board to approve the consent to assignment with Greenwave Electronics, taking over the current contract number 28, 2021, with having the city renew its agreement through 2024, according to the same pricing schedule referenced herein within the exhibits.
Thank you. Any questions or comments or a motion?
President Miller,
Yes, Mr. Steens?
make a motion to approve consent to assignment for Greenway Electronics, who is taking over the existing company that we do business with. They will honor the same contract. Total amount of the contract per year is to exceed $25,000, and this contract will run through 2024.
I second.
There's been a motion and a second to approve consent to assignment for the collection and removal of e-waste. This is an assignment to Greenwave Electronics from Greenwave Computer Recycling LLC at an annual amount of $25,000, and it will run through 2024. Any further questions or comments? Hearing none, all in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. That takes us back to miscellaneous. Is there anything else to be brought before the board today? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. All in favor indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned, and I will turn it over to President Steens for the Stormwater Board.
Thank you. I'd like to call to order the September 26th, 2023 Richmond Sanitary District Stormwater Management Board meeting. First on the agenda is the approval of minutes from August 22nd and September 12th of 2023.
I'd like to propose a motion for approval of minutes from August 22nd and September 12th, 2023 as presented.
And I will second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to approve the minutes as presented from the August 22nd and September 12th, September 12th, 2023 meeting, again as presented. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the approval of invoices for check date run September 8th and 15th of 2023.
President Steens, I'd like to make a motion to approve invoices from check dates September 8th and 15th of 2023 totaling $17,835.74.
I second.
We have a motion and a second to approve invoices from check date run September 8th and 15th of 2023 totaling $17,835.74. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Next on the agenda is the recommendation to enter into a contract for appraisal services.
Yes, Mr. President and Board. I'll again attempt to be Elijah Welch here. This piece of property, as you'll see mapped out here, near the Bachmeyer Trace area, Bachmeyer Road. We have in our project list now, if you may remember back to last year's budgeting for this year, we put funds back into the improvement fund for a stormwater project in this area, and there are more funds going into next year's budget as well for a project in this area. This property happened to come up for sale now. But this is the same area we were looking to do something in anyway with those projects. What we would like to do then is just get this appraised so we can look at that value and go forward with that to be set up for those projects as we were already planning to do. And I believe this is in the emails. If you look further down exhibits, it's $2,100 for this appraisal.
Oh, is that what it is? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Any questions? Have a motion, please.
I'd like to propose a motion for recommendation to enter into contract for appraisal services as presented.
And I will second the motion.
We have a motion and a second to enter into appraisal services, cost not to exceed, is it, you say $2,100?
I believe it was $2,100. We had an exhibit down there, the email
Okay.
exhibit.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next is miscellaneous. Does anyone have anything? Hearing none, I'll hear a motion to adjourn.
I so move.
Second.
And we are adjourned.